This is a Beyond the Badge with Vincent Hill Quick Fix on Radio Influence.
Now, what's really important, especially in the University of Cincinnati police officer Ray Tenzing and Du Bois case. Now, of course, the mainstream media, CNN, Clinton News Network, made it, of course, all about race, and it was unjustified. He was shot in the head, all of this good stuff. But there's a few key points you need to understand here. A, everyone was so in an uproar that departments need body cam. It will hold officers accountable. It will make sure they're not doing what they're not supposed to do, right? Everybody was saying that after Michael Brown, after all of this stuff, right? Well, here's the thing. Officer Tenzing did have body cam, and I said over a year ago that body cams in themselves will not stop police from using force. It will not, because when you have that split second, when you think your life is in danger, you are going to use force. Body cam, no body cam, Hollywood studio following you around, paparazzi following you around. If you feel imminent threat against your life in a split second, officers will use deadly force. And that's what happened here. So, of course, people thought it was a slam dunk case because they had this body cam of this officer shooting this unarmed black man, right? We've heard that for the last, I don't know how many years, unarmed black man. Well, when it got to trial, it wasn't that easy. Now, while people are going to paint this racial and all of this stuff, keep in mind, it was a hung jury in mistrial, which means that a jury of 12, I don't know what the breakdown racially was, nor do I care, to be honest with you. A jury of 12 people could not come to a conclusion and say that this officer committed murder. Well, why is that? Well, A, let's say, for argument's sake, people want to call it racial. And let's just say the jury was the majority white. Well, if that's what it was, then it would have been quite simple, right? Well, not guilty. He's a white guy. I'm a white guy. Let's vote him not guilty. He just killed another one. We really don't care. That wasn't the case because the jury saw exactly what I saw, and I did the job. And watching that tape, it's hard to just say, "Ooh, let me look at this frame by frame and see exactly where the officer wasn't in danger." His arm was in the car. The car started to leave. I can go talk to my friend James Duke right now who got drugged in Nashville. I don't know how many feet, but he has the scar still on his body to prove it, where the young lady drug him while he was on a traffic stop. I can show you officer after officer that was drugged by a vehicle during a traffic stop. So it's not as black and white as this video may show, because you have an individual stopped for a traffic infraction. You have an individual changing his story during the minute and a half before the shooting. That's how long the traffic stop was. A minute and a half. So he's changing his story. He's in the car doing furtive movements. When the officer tries to extract him from the vehicle, which he can at that point because he hadn't produced a driver's license. He's driving on a public road. He hasn't given his name at this point. He can, for his investigation, detain him to find out who he is and if he has a driver's license. So instead of getting out of the vehicle, Mr. Du Bois closes the door, starts the car, takes off. The officer at that moment, now there's going to be people that argue, oh, well, he said he was getting drugged and he wasn't getting drugged and he didn't have to shoot, he didn't have to do this. At that moment, when his left arm was still in the vehicle, what do you believe that officer thought? Regardless of what he said after, regardless of what he said later, regardless of what shirt he was wearing, and I'll talk about that here in a minute, what do you think at that second that officer was thinking?
Beyond the Badge with Vincent Hill can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, and RadioInfluence.com.